Good evening, everyone. This special meeting of the Lancaster City Council is called to order on Monday, September the 15th, 2025 at 7:04. Brings us to our public testimonies. At this time, citizens who have pre-registered before the call to order will be allowed to speak on consent or action items on the agenda with the exception of public hearing for a length of time not to exceed 3 minutes. Anyone desiring to speak on an item scheduled for a public hearing is requested to hold their comments until the public hearing on that item. Do we have any want to speak?
No,
All right. All right, so that leads us up to our consent agenda. Items listed under the consent agenda are considered routine and are generally enacted in one motion. The exception to this rule is that a council member may request one or more items to be removed from the consent agenda for separate discussion and action. I would ask the city secretary to read those items into the record.
C1, consider an ordinance making certain findings and connections with the proposed supplemental services ordered in connection with the Beltline Ashmoore Public Improvement District. C2, consider an ordinance making certain findings and connections with the proposed supplemental services order in connection with the Boardwalk Public Improvement District. C3, consider an ordinance making certain findings and connections with the proposed supplemental services order in connection with the Glendover Estates Public Improvement District. C4, consider an ordinance making certain findings and connections with the proposed supplemental services order in connection with the Lancaster Mill Public Improvement District. C5, consider an ordinance making certain findings in connection with the proposed supplemental services order in connection with the Meadowview Estates Public Improvement District. C6, consider an ordinance making certain findings in connection with the proposed supplemental services order in connection with the Millbrook East Public Improvement District. C7, consider an ordinance making certain findings in connection with the proposed supplemental services order in connection with the Pleasant Run Estates Phase 1A and Phase 1B Public Improvement District. C8, consider an ordinance making certain findings in connections with the proposed supplemental services order in connection with the Rolling Meadows Public Improvement District. C9, consider an ordinance making certain findings in connection with the proposed supplemental services order in connection with the Tribute at Mills Branch and Tribute East at Mill Branch Public Improvement District. C10, consider an ordinance making certain findings and connections with the proposed supplemental services order in connection with the Wellington Park North Phase 3 Public Improvement District.
All right, council, you've heard the consent agenda 1 through 10. What's your pleasure?
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to pull number 8, item number 8, so I can recuse myself from that item, and then approve the consent agenda items 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, and 10.
Second.
All right, there's been a motion and a second to approve consent items 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 10, with the exception, 9, I'm sorry. With the exception of pulling item number 8. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed say no. Those who abstain say abstain.
Did you get a second?
Yes.
Councilmember Steinberg, second.
Aye.
All right. All right, council, that leads us to item number 8 in the consent agenda.
Make a motion to approve consent item number 8. A second.
There's been a motion and a second to approve consent item number 8. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed say no.
No. I'm sorry.
Those who abstain say abstain. All right, it carries. Council, that moves us to our
Standing up.
oh, I thought he was gonna stay out there. He gonna get up. Tell him come on in, please. All right, that leads us to item number 8, executive session. City Secretary.
In accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, the City Council will convene an executive session to consider the following matters. 1, Section 551.071, pending, threatened, contemplated, or potential related litigations in regards to a Delta Victor LLC versus City of Lancaster, Texas, pending in the 68th District Court of Dallas County, Texas, under cause number DC 23-09494, and the real property made subject thereof. B, consider and approve proposed settlement terms and offers in Delta Victor LLC versus City of Lancaster, Texas lawsuit pending in the 68th District Court of Dallas County, Texas.
All right, council, it is 7:10. Meet us in the conference room. All right, council, we are reconvening into open session at 7:23. And I see the city attorney, he's standing up there to direct us.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I believe we have one motion coming out of executive session.
Mayor, I make a motion for the settlement agreement of the lawsuit with Delta Victor and the City of Lancaster.
And that would be in accordance with the proposed terms of the September 8th, 2025 Rule 11 agreement. Okay. So based on that.
Based on that.
Okay.
Second.
All right.
A second.
All right, there's been a motion and a second to approve the agreement. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those who oppose, say no. Those who abstain, say abstain. All right, it carries.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Based on that, your litigation counsel will prepare the settlement documents, and I will review the real estate transaction portion, and we'll get that back to you wrapped up.
Thank you. All right, council. Good evening again. This work session meeting of the. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm going to go right on into it. All right. I'll make accept a motion to adjourn.
Adjourn.
Second.
All right. There's been a motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those who oppose, say no. Those who abstain, say abstain. All right. We are adjourned at 7:25. Now, that leads us up to our regular work session. Good evening, everyone, again. This work session meeting of the City of Lancaster Council is called to order on Monday, September the 15th at 7:25 p.m. First item on the agenda, City Secretary, I'm going to let you read it.
Discuss the city's nomination for 3 candidates to serve on the Dallas Central Appraisal District, DCAD Board of Directors.
All right, City Manager.
Mayor, members of council, the Dallas Central Appraisal District Board recommendation is before you this evening. The Property Tax Code Section 6.03 requires that an election or appointment of members of the board for the appraisal district be conducted in odd-numbered years. The term of office for an elected or appointed official is 4-year term, and it will begin on January 1st of the year. The City of Lancaster is entitled to 10 votes of the 2,002 votes eligible for entities within Dallas County. The The requirements to serve on the board of directors are listed in your agenda communication, with the majority of those being that you have to be a resident of the Central Appraisal District for at least 2 years. You can be an elected official, but you cannot be an employee of the agency. For a DCAD, you also must not have any delinquent taxes or penalties or interest paid or due. There can be no lawsuit filed for delinquent taxes. And so the council needs to determine if you would like to make any nominations to serve on the board. The council has the ability to make the nomination. We are again entitled to 10 votes. You can cast all of our 10 votes for one person. We could spread our 10 votes out over multiple individuals. The requirement is that we have to submit via resolution a nomination to the chief appraiser no later than October 15th. Following that, on October 30th, the chief appraiser will present to each of the entities in the appraisal district a ballot for those entities to vote on no later than October 30th. And then we have to cast our votes and spread our 10 votes out, either one or two multiple, no later than December 15th. The item before you this evening is to determine if the city council wants to make any nominations, as you have done in the past, to allow the staff the opportunity to make any contact or communication with any of your, if you choose to make nominations, or for you all to say, we'll just wait until we receive the ballot. And this is really for your discussion, and staff will be happy to answer any questions that you may have at this time.
Staff, do you have any questions? Council, do you have any questions for staff?
So do all of the people that are on the board transition off, or are they on certain terms?
They're staggered terms. And so it's no longer like it was in the past where there was a person that just represented our region. It goes over the entire Central Appraisal District.
So the whole Dallas County?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And then again, that it can be an elected official?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
You just cannot be an employee of the organization or of the appraisal district.
Any other questions?
Who is currently our representative?
So it's no longer the way it was in the past where we had a representative on the, now you vote. We have 10 votes
Got that, okay.
that we cast for the board makeup.
That's right, that changed last
Yes,
year.
sir.
That's right.
Yes, sir.
And how many votes out there?
We have 10 votes.
Yes.
Out of, there are 2,002
2,000.
votes allocated to all the entities
Michael
in
Hurt
Dallas.
still, is he still on the board, or is he transitioned off?
I believe that he is still on the board. I would have to confirm that, but I think he's still on the board.
Any other questions?
Carol, do you want to do it? Carol, do you want to do it?
Oh, no. No.
You know, and I'll have to reach out to her to see if she's interested. I'm sorry I didn't do that. I wanted to have the meeting here first to see. I believe that she was a candidate last year. And that would be Dr. Carrie Gordon out of Balch Springs. I believe that she was a candidate last year.
That would be a very good thing.
And I'll reach out to her.
So right now, we could just put a name forward, and then he could validate it.
And then it would come to you on your October 13th regular meeting for you to submit that name as a nomination for consideration. And then the Central Appraisal District will compile all the nominations from all the taxing entities.
Right.
And then they would return to us a ballot with those candidates' names on it by October 30th. And we would need to submit a resolution casting your vote with your 10 votes and have that turned back into the appraisal district by December.
Any other questions? All right. Councilmember Mahill wants to move his item to the October work session. So that leads us to item number 3, City Secretary.
Receive a presentation from Spectrum Properties regarding a proposed public-private partnership strategy for the construction of a new city hall.
All right, City Manager.
Mayor, members of council, in 2017, you established a goal to do the design and development of a new city hall as a key strategic objective. And we started that process with GSBS architects moving through the process. That process was then placed on a hold, and the city council continued. You directed staff to do a facility assessment report, which was done in fiscal year 22-23, to examine the conditions of all of our city facilities. 16 of our 19 facilities were examined by Randall Scott Architects and given an evaluation score based on the condition and age of those facilities. In June of 2024, during the strategic planning session, you resumed the discussion and directed staff to continue proceeding forward with identifying alternative funding for a new city hall and the design and construction. The public-private partnership structure was explored, and this evening before you, we have Spectrum. We have with us two of the representatives from Spectrum to present to you a presentation regarding a potential public-private partnership for the design, build, and financing of a new city hall. And they will, I'm not sure if Nick is going to come forward and do the presentation, or Brian, or both. And they will come forward and walk you through the presentation, which is also included in your Dropbox as well as on the screen.
What is our position with Spectrum?
So Brian is president of the company.
Okay. Brian is who?
This is
And I'm Vice President of Finance with the company.
Okay.
Okay, well, good evening. It's nice to meet you all. My name is Brian Bergerson, and this is Nick Curry, and we're with Spectrum Properties. And we're here tonight to talk to you about the design, build, finance of a city hall for the city of Lancaster. So part of our objectives with this was to design a customized plan for Lancaster's needs, not only today, but also in the future. And at the same time, to make sure that the city of Lancaster retains control of their asset and build the project faster, transfer the construction risk and potential cost overruns to the private side, and under the design, build, finance structure, there would be fixed lease payments to the city and no risk of cost overruns. So obviously it would have to be a collaborative design approach with the city of Lancaster. We have to understand your programming needs, not only today, but in the future. And working with GSBS, which is the city-approved architect for Lancaster, as well as our engineers, we design a smart, cost-effective design that would enhance both employee efficiency, but also the functionality. And finally, we transform the City Hall into a welcoming, productive asset for both the community and the employees. So the project overview that we looked at was a 30,000 square foot, two-story steel frame building with 110 surface parking spaces. We would design the building for energy efficiency and sustainable design, and at the same time have Class A finishes with modern access and security controls for both safety and convenience.
The project is structured and financed using two lease agreements. The first is the ground lease and the other is an improvement lease. The ground lease takes the city-owned property and leases it to the developer. This gives the developer control of the property and the right to construct a city hall building on the project site. The term of the lease is 32 years. The first 2 years are used for the planning, permitting, and construction process. However, we feel that can be as short as 20 months, and then the remaining 30 years is the operating term. The key to this structure and the use of the ground lease is that the city retains ownership of its property throughout the entire process. For the improvement lease, the developer finances, constructs, and then leases the completed city hall building to the city. This creates the lease financing structure, and the city will also have the chance to, and the lease agreement also allows the city to control the use of the property, occupy it, and the right to own the property outright at the end of the lease term. During the lease term, the city is responsible for 100% of the 100% of the operating and maintenance costs associated with the property. And then at the end of the lease, the ground lease expires, the improvements revert automatically to the city, and the city will have free and clear title to the entire project. Both leases are signed and executed at the same time. They run concurrently and have the same end date. but the payments under the improvement lease do not begin until the certificate of occupancy is issued. And just kind of recap a summary of the financial structure. Again, the city enters into 2 long-term leases. The 30-year improvement lease allows for predictable fixed payments so you can plan for it and budget for them. And again, payments do not begin until the CO is issued. No debt is required by the city because the developer is responsible for 100% of the construction costs. The only obligation that the city has is the lease obligation. The lease is structured so that the city retains ownership, and then at the end of the lease, the city will have free and clear title to the entire property. 2 of the many benefits to the design build finance structure is, 1, that the process is turnkey for the city, and the other is the city has immediate use of the building without any upfront costs required.
So obviously, what's the importance of a city hall? It obviously serves as a local community, for the local community and also the city of Lancaster. With modernized facilities and enhanced employee productivity and efficiency, as well as improved public services. Also, it's a hub for residents, businesses, and even city leadership. And if we design it correctly, we're going to design it for long-term growth, flexibility, and expansion capabilities.
What do you mean by that, expansion capabilities? Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, well, so obviously, we have to understand your programming needs. You know, what's all entailed inside the structure.
Okay.
But also, if we design it correctly, we'll design it so there's room for expansion capabilities. Not physically building, expansions, but having the room so that it can be utilized more efficiently.
Okay.
So what do you minority participation program set up?
Well, so in the past, we've had 30% MWBE participation on our projects.
So it's just moving forward, you saying pass,
If you want MWBE participation, we'll have MWBE participation. We're comfortable with it. We've done many projects that have required us to have at least 30% MWBE participation, and we've succeeded in doing that every time. Okay. Oh, so the benefit of a design, build, finance structure is, and we also call it structured lease, is that the city of Lancaster would not need to finance the construction. The city of Lancaster would have fixed monthly payments, so you would know exactly what your payments are over the term of that lease. Obviously, by doing so, you transfer any of the construction risk, any of the financing risk onto us as developers. Okay? We feel when we do stuff through a P3 project privately, we can build it more efficiently and quicker than if it was a publicly bid project. And finally, and most important, the city maintains control of the asset over the term of the lease, and when the lease expires, the property reverts back to you free and clear, and the lease goes away. So this was kind of the layout of how we laid out the City Hall, and you can see it kind of bisects Cedar Street and Center Street at the south end of what we call the city center. You can see that a portion of the property between Cedar Street and Redbud on Center would have to be abandoned. So that part of the property would have to be abandoned. The infrastructure would have to be improved, and we're recommending the burying of the electrical lines along East Cedar Street. Obviously, this project would have streetscape improvements, landscaping, benches, sidewalks. We'd have to brand the City Hall so that the entire community knows that that's your City Hall. And by having a connected area like this, we're really promoting kind of a central community that would have the potential for future development of retail or even green space, and create a nice gathering spot for quarterly events, community gatherings, etc. So these are just some of the public-private partnerships that we've done in the city of Dallas. So most of you are probably familiar with the Dallas Farmers Market. So that was 16 acres in the southeast quadrant of downtown. That was an RFP that the city put out that we won. We just completed the last part of that development. But what's important about that development is it spurred on an additional $650 million of development around us. which created annual taxable revenue of over $20 million. Another project we did with the City of Dallas in downtown on Main Street was called Third Rail Lofts. And that was a mixed-use project of residential, public parking, and retail. And the City of Dallas gave us a $10 million interest-free loan for 10 years in exchange for low-rate parking to attract people downtown to park and shop at the retail. And this was a catalyst for the future development of all the retail down on Main Street. And it was the first new development on Main Street in 40 years. It's been a very successful project. And finally, we also did a structured lease transaction, similar to what we're talking about with Dallas Love Field, where we own about 32 acres of additional land around the airport for their future expansion needs. And the city leased that from us, and after 30 years, it reverts to them. And then these are some past team transactions that we've done around the country. Obviously, you can see the City of Dallas, so that was a $77 million transaction. GSA has done several transactions in this fashion. New Jersey Transit, and then you can also see universities do this, Texas A&M, many universities do this, as well as a lot of healthcare companies do this, building their facilities or building their corporate headquarters. So this isn't a new concept. It's done all over the country. And they're called CTL transactions, which is credit tenant lease transactions. And the reason they work great with municipalities is because it all comes down to the bond rating of the municipality.
Sure.
And that's basically the presentation. So I know you probably have several comments and questions. We're happy to answer them. But again,
is there other projects that we can utilize this program in?
you can use it. You can use it for any project that the city of Lancaster is willing to sign a lease for. We're talking. Excuse me. I'm sorry. We're talking with DART about redoing their headquarters. We're talking with another municipality about building a city hall. So it can be done for numerous projects. It can be done for infrastructure. So, anyways.
Y'all want to come to Lancaster?
Huh?
Y'all want to come to
Okay.
Do we know numbers? Like for 10 million, how much our payment would be?
So
For 20 million or 30 million?
So we looked at, when we did it, we looked at, I mean, obviously, it depends on what you're building, as you know.
Right. So say 20 million. It's kind
So
of
we looked at somewhere between, what, 25 and,
We looked at between 25 million and 28.5 million, and that put payments at 154,000 to 175,000.
so looking at 154
to 175 per month.
to 175 per month.
Right.
Okay.
Now, what you have to understand is you have construction costs, but you also have soft costs. You know, you've obviously have architectural, you've got interest carry, you've got all these different costs associated with it. So we have to bundle that. So it's not just hard costs that we look at. We have to look at the whole picture.
So a part of this, if we enter this agreement, is there a buyout at some point if we want to just pay it off? Or is it, once we go into this agreement, we're stuck for 30 years?
You can do a buyout, but it's more difficult for us because what happens is the financing source behind the credit tenant lease transaction, they're looking at a stream of payments over a period of time.
Sure.
And so if all of a sudden there's a prepayment provision, then there might be some sort of a prepayment penalty to us to unwind it.
They looking at residual income.
Right. Right.
So this is just building the building. It doesn't mean the furniture and everything that would
It
be.
can.
So it depends
We'll
on
finance
how the
anything, huh?
bundle is,
Yeah.
is structured. So that would drive the cost up. If we just did the building, it'd be one cost.
Correct.
But if we, per square foot and depending on the parking space and everything, but then if we then came back and said that in that bundle that we want to have the furniture included, then that would increase the price.
Right.
So there's two options
Yes,
here
there
as
is.
far as,
Right.
it just depends on how we end up wanting, that if we do this, that how we would structure it
That's right.
to be able to come up. So when you say the price that you gave of the 20 to 25 million,
Wasn't including FF&E.
so it was not.
Furniture, fixtures, and equipment.
So that, because we, and of course, so much has changed in building costs and everything. When we looked at a ballpark figure before, we weren't close to that.
Right.
At all. It was much less. So when we
In
had,
2017, it was about 17 million.
yeah,
For how big?
I
yeah.
don't remember the square footage.
Yeah, it wasn't 30,000 square feet.
It was not that large.
No, it was not that big. I think it was
less
like
than-
10.
Yeah.
Is there a possibility to go 3 stories instead of 2?
Sure.
Sure.
I mean, you can build whatever you want, honestly, but you can't go 3 stories. This was 2, but obviously the higher you go, the more expensive it gets.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was 2 with a 15,000 square foot footprint. You know, you have the residential adjacent, so just whatever zoning would allow in terms of that,
Do you have a proximity slope
Proximity slope.
requirement here?
So
what?
with the building,
Proximity slope requirement?
I
Do you know?
I don't know.
You
I'd
have
have
to-
to, I'd have to look at building. I'm
Yeah,
not
if the code, if the zoning allows for that height next to residential, then it would be permitted,
in the
but right now
downtown,
we
I
plan.
believe that it does. But the other question that I had also, that when you build the building, because it's like this building, we can't add a second floor to it. It's not structurally set to be able to handle that type of situation, to be able to remodel this and do something like that. So would the building be built so that if there was some time in the future, way future, that people then wanted to add a third floor, that they could?
Yeah,
And-
I mean, if that's a desire, you just build your structure in such a
Right.
way where you can add a
Right.
floor to it.
But that's where you've got to have that vision long-term,
That's
when
right.
you're wanting something to last for 50, 60 years.
That's
Well,
right.
this was built in the 70s, so here we are.
Well, and you've seen a lot of growth here.
Yes.
And I just took a tour, and you've definitely outgrown it.
Yes.
Well, when you have people on top of people.
Yeah. But I was going to mention, we were also talking to a healthcare clinic about building them a clinic, using the same structure. And they asked if they could put a lot of their medical equipment in with the building.
Financing.
And you can absolutely do it.
So it just depends on how you structure the whole thing.
It's more, for the lender, it's more important of the credit of the tenant almost than it is
Sure
of
it
the,
is.
of the real estate.
There it is.
I don't,
And our credit's excellent.
Yes, it is. That's why we're in front of you today.
Supreme.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, if we were to do this in Chicago, it might be a different story.
Or some other places.
I don't think it's smart, in my opinion, to finance furniture for 30 years.
Yeah.
I think, that furniture will be long gone. You still be making payments on that furniture. So that to me, that's out of the question. The other thing too, if your numbers say 154,000, 175,000 per month, my numbers come out to being somewhere between 55 million and 63 million dollars for the total investment. If we stick to those numbers, I've paid out of 30 years.
Could be, yeah.
Yeah. So my issue is I think we could figure out a better way to do this, especially if the way we're growing. I think we just put money to the side and figure out a different way. I think it'd be a better way to do it. I think it's just too big of an investment. And the other thing too, I really would like this council to take in mind that we need to develop. If we ever do this, I think building it next to the rec center and the police station and stuff like that would be a better fit. Keep all of our government buildings in one place. I've talked about that. I think the square's too tight. It's going to be too tight. If you really want to think of a 30-year, 40-year investment, it's going to make the area too tight. Is this contract, is it going to be triple net, the lease?
Yes,
Okay, so we're responsible for all the maintenance
yes.
on top of that?
Yeah, you're going to maintain your own building.
Okay,
But it will be real estate tax exempt, obviously.
right. Yeah, I'm not worried about taxes, but, so we're paying $154,000 to $175,000 a month, and we're still responsible for all the maintenance. And as time goes on, within 30 years, we'll still have to do all the maintenance. And then because y'all own it, you're going to keep us to a certain maintenance level that we can't let your property go south. So
Well-
that's going to be on top of this numbers.
Well, I mean, if you were to build it yourself, you're still going to have to pay for the construction costs, and you're going to have to pay to operate it.
Right. But I don't know if it'll be a 30-year note. Most commercial leases aren't 30 years.
Well, the ones we do with this kind of
Right, I understand
transaction
that's
is
what y'all
30
do.
years.
And I understand, you're business people, I get it.
Yeah.
It makes sense for y'all, but, for a small town like us, I don't know if
I mean, you can do a shorter term lease, but the payments are going to be more
Right,
expensive.
I get it.
But it's just like anything when you do. However, I appreciate Councilman Mejia's comments, but all the planners that we have that they say if you move the city hall away from downtown, that you actually end up killing the downtown. So I look at it be in the downtown to keep the vitality and the expansion of that, because that is my personal opinion. But I think this is something that we will have to have a little bit more in-depth discussion on.
Well, more so, you got to take in consideration what's happening economically anyway. We've waited, and guess what? It has gone up, right? And then I think if we continue to wait, all it's going to do is probably double. I mean, considering what's actually taking shape around us. So it's not as much as the price right now. When I'm looking at $65 million for a building, to me that's I think it's sound, financially sound. But there again, anytime we consider trying to move from this area, and this is one of the things that is the heartbeat of Lancaster, in a sense, is our downtown. This is what we're on the map for, in a sense. This is what actually drive certain monies to us, and we don't want to lose that. So we would have to sit and look at figures like you would even with anything else. But I just believe that we're going to have to make a decision.
But I appreciate the fact.
When you look at all of the cities around us, I went to Hutchins the other day. They had a ribbon cutting for their new city hall, and they already talking about building a rec center and a library, and they're like a little over 6,000 people. Wilma. Well, let's go to Glen Heights. Glen Heights built a new city hall, a safety building, and something else. And they what? Are they 5,000 or so? In Wilma, they in the process of building a new city hall, and I said that to say this, that we are doing more than any of them cities are doing as far as development and all that. And I just remember, what was it, 10 years ago, our evaluation was 1.6? Yes. And here it is 10 years later. I think we almost at $8 billion, $8 billion. And somebody said, what did that mean? I said, it means we got good credit. You missed that one.
No, I got it.
Oh, okay.
But something else, Mayor, that we need to take in consideration is this. We have some of the brightest minds there is in the Southwest working for us here in the city, at City Hall here. And I don't want to have to lose one other person because of the conditions in which one has to work. And we got to take that in consideration, especially if we really look at retention of our workers. And it's nothing more disheartening than having to come, and put out all this energy, and then it's so dismal around you, So I just believe.
There was one more thing I was going to say, because you mentioned about a project you did in Dallas that $650 million, right?
Not besides ours.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, and open up the area for retail, and is that what I heard?
And what's interesting about that project is we went into it knowing that the actual farmers market itself was not going to make any money, but that was the catalyst for all the development around it. If we could run a successful farmers market, even though it's like an anchor in a shopping center. You never make money off of the anchors.
Right.
You make money off the inline shop space around the anchors. Same thing held true with the farmers market. Personally, I can't talk for the city council here, but to me, if I were to build it and I was on the city council, I'd want to build it where we have it. Because that's your city center. And that will create, that's your anchor. That'll create events, create community gatherings, create maybe future development.
And that's what Hutchins is doing. That's what Glen Heights done. It's a center, the center attraction
Is
there.
the
So
structure sound enough to do underground parking?
Yes, but I would not do that from a cost perspective if you don't have to. Underground parking is the most expensive. Structured parking is the second most expensive. Surface parking is the least expensive. But, that's a decision you all have to make, because if you want to free up that land for additional development, well, that's your decision. But you can do underground parking.
But that would be looking at
additional cost.
having to get additional funds to be able to do either underground or
Structure.
a structure, and you said the structure is actually less
Less than
the
underground. Less than underground.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And how old is this city hall? How old is it?
1970s.
It was 53
1970.
years old according
Yes.
to your facility
50,
assessment.
how many?
53 years old according to your
53
facility
years old.
assessment.
I wasn't born yet.
My son is a graduate. He has a graduate degree in industrial psychology. And industrial psychology is talking, the field is exactly what you're talking about. It's going into these corporations and looking at their space and making it a better workplace
Yes.
to get more out of the employees and attract more employees.
Absolutely.
And all these big corporations are doing it.
Yeah,
And there's a reason for it.
it is.
You know what I like about this, about this goal, is when we did the facility assessment a couple of years ago, the city hall, a new city hall is the starting point
Right.
to open up the gates to allow other buildings within this city to expand and become better than they are, okay? And one that comes to my mind is, if I remember correctly on this, staff, and correct me if I'm off point here, but all of the city employees that are scattered around the city now would be housed locally in the new 30,000 square foot facility. And that would pull people out of the buildings down there on 500 West Main and locate them here. Then I remember, very much so, then that empty building, which is already there and still has plenty of ample life left to it, would then become our new animal shelter.
Animal shelter.
It's already in the plans.
And it's already there, and it's already built, and it just needs to be converted. The existing animal shelter that's there now would be a specialty building for the animal care facility, whether if it is with veterinarian services and or isolation areas. And then there was one other step to it that I remember that spun off from the new city hall. Or am I dreaming now? I'm dreaming, okay. So that's what I like about it, okay? I don't know where we go with the next steps with this. That was a very enlightening presentation. I've been here for a few years and had remembered the first taste of a new city hall, and we all went and we toured and we all got amped up about it, and then it just kind of fell by the wayside. So it's good to pull that binder off the shelf and dust it off. I do agree with some of the comments that I think that there's a lot more planning into this that needs to be selected as for what about the money part of it, the funding part of it, right? I got to agree here, funding furniture for 30 years is not on my radar either, okay? But it was, at least it gets us some preliminary numbers and a base point with this type of program. So I don't know where we go next with
Mayor.
this.
Well, that was, yeah, go ahead.
Okay. I guess since everybody just had their comment, I see this as a plus. Since I've been here, and I've probably been on the council the least amount of time, but I've heard talk about a new city hall, and I'm prepared to move this city forward. that's my goal since I've come here, and I think this is the right direction to go. I know we do have to work out some numbers or whatever and see if they fit, but I'm tired of looking back. I look at the city. When I came here one day, I sit in the city manager's office, and one of the things that stick in my mind was there was rain coming down, and there was a leak coming down the wall. And then I talked to one of the maintenance people, and they said that they've patched up this building as much as they could. And so there comes a point where you just got to let it go. I think most of us here have all gotten new cars. We're still not driving the same cars we did 30, 40 years ago. Those of us that's that old. So it's time to move the city forward. And when we move forward, we have to bring a image to Lancaster, bring a positive image, and let people know that, hey, we're on the move. And so I think it's time to move forward. I think the comments that's been said here are very well spoken of. And so I commend you guys for what you're doing and just looking forward to moving the city forward.
Thank you.
This public-private partnership is especially y'all have experience and a track record. You have the financial backing that you can do this, and that this is something that is happening locally, that we can go see what y'all done. So it's not something that you're doing some other state that we'd have to travel to, but it's locally that you've got projects that you've got. So I think it's something being able to figure out the next steps that need to be taken personally.
Plus, they know we got good credit. All right.
I got a few words. I think this deal is just too rich for me, especially when I look at the infrastructure that we have in Lancaster. I see our streets are bad. When I talk to staff, they say our sewer lines are over capacity, our water lines are over capacity. We have a lot of needs in the city, and it's not that I don't want to spend money. I mean, a year or two ago, we spent $30 million to fix streets. So I don't mind spending money in the right areas. The issue that I have right now, I just don't think right now, when I look at police, look at fire, look at everything in the city, I don't think that $55 to $63 million right now is the right place to put this money. And the best way to ruin good credit is to take on debt. And the more debt you take on, the better that credit's the worse that credit's going to get. So we're bragging that we have good credits because we don't have much debt. But the more we take on debt, we already took on debt for the streets. We're already going to take on possibly this debt, $55 to $63 million. At one point, you keep doing this, you're going to wake up one day and say, we don't have bad credit. And so you don't want to overextend yourself. You want to invest in the right areas. I know construction has gone up since the last time we talked about, but I think the important thing to really question yourself was what was the square footage of that building that we originally talked about. It was 10 to 15,000 square feet. So
23, I think. It was like
23. So now we're talking about 30,000. So, when you go up, it's not the construction cost has gone up that much. We've just gone up on a larger building with larger parking, a larger footprint overall. I think that's kind of what we have to pay attention to, that, that even though things have gone up, but our city hall has gotten bigger. So I just don't think right now, in my opinion, that this is the right place to invest this money. We're looking at, when I talk to constituents in Lancaster, both business owners and residents, and they tell me when it rains, they can't flush their toilets. To me, that's more of an important area to put the money than put it into a city hall. Your infrastructure is number one in the city of Lancaster to me. So that's the only thing I have to say about that.
The only thing I would say to you is the 55 or 50 million is over a 30-year period. And you're not taking on debt and you're not putting any money up front. It's lease payments over a 30-year period.
But it's still a liability.
And if you buy a house, your house when you buy it is $100,000, but by the time you pay it off, it's probably $300,000 because you're paying the interest over 30 years. So
it depends on the house. That's not always. Real estate doesn't always go up. You can overpay for your property, and so.
But I'm just making the observation that does
but real estate doesn't always go up.
When does it come down?
We already have funds.
When does it come down?
It's coming down right now. Look at residential.
We already have funds allocated for infrastructure. We don't beat this one.
I'm glad.
So
he's dead.
We already have that in place. We're already moving forward on infrastructure. So we don't have to keep talking about infrastructure, bro. We don't.
I do. You can talk about what you want. I want to talk about
I'm glad you brought the idea of the debt. That it ain't like we putting up $100,000 up front and all that. So now you can correct me if
You're right.
Okay.
This is very similar. This is why a lot of municipalities like to do this, because it's a way to get projects done without having to go out and try to issue bonds.
Yeah.
And the bonds are very expensive, as you all probably know, to issue. And so this is a great way. I don't know if it's an off-balance sheet transaction, so it might be a liability on your books, even though it's a lease. However, it's a great way to get projects done without having to go and float bonds.
And,
All right, council.
and at a quicker pace.
Yes,
Yeah.
much quicker and less expensive.
And the fact that you do other projects and even infrastructure in the same manner that we could come into play on some of this, because you said you do other type of creative public-private partnership. So that's interesting to see what you're talking about on that.
And I like the idea that it's going to draw other development around it. So, council, do you have any other questions, comments? All right, city manager, where do we go from here?
If you all choose to proceed forward, we could work with getting the agreement. There's no design for City Hall. The 30,000 is an estimate. So that's a starting point. So they gave you just raw figures, I guess is a good way to say that. They would have to start the process to know, is it 20,000 the right size? Is it whatever? So, we could start with it would be the agreement with them, submit the lease agreement to the city attorney for review, bring that back to you all for review and consideration. That would allow to begin the process of the design. And then once the design, bring all that back to you to sign off and approve on the design process. And then go to the next stage would be the build process. And the question about the location downtown, your master plan called for, like the location was selected because of the the comp plan, the multiple master plans saying that downtown was the location. So that was why.
So, city manager, I think you received all that you needed.
We will work with
in
them.
order for us to go forward with this.
We'll work with them to get that agreement, get it reviewed by the city attorney, and then bring that back to you all for consideration.
And this company here will design it for us, correct?
GSBS. is who
GSB,
you
it'll go
have.
back.
That architect.
You'll work with
Yes,
GSB.
yes, and they're a very good architect. They do very good work.
Do you have any closing comments, anything like that?
No, just thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it very much, and we look forward to working together. Well, we use several. There's Manhattan Construction. We've used Turner. We like Andres Construction out of Dallas. They're local. Those are ones that we like to use. They're big enough. They're plenty capable. They've got a good set of subcontractors. They're good to work with.
Well, I tell you, all of them tours that we done had from Kaufman to Grapevine, looking at city halls. This is award. It's a pleasure to have y'all stand before us tonight. So we want to thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
All right. Council, that moves us to item number 4, City Secretary.
Receive a presentation and discuss the quarterly financial reports for the second quarter of FY 2025 for the period January 1st, 2025 through March 31st, 2025 for the third quarter of fiscal FY 2025 for the period April 1, 2025 through June 30th, 2025.
City Manager.
Mayor, members of council, our finance director, Ms. Christine Harris-Reed, will be the staff liaison on this item.
Good evening, everyone. So I wanted to start with our second quarter and talk about our investments with TextPool for this year. For the second quarter, we were at 4.33%. That is a decrease from 2024, which was 5.32%, which is a decrease of 0.98. For Texas class, we were at 4.4%. That is a decrease from last year, which was 5.46, which overall the difference is 1.2. For logic, we're currently at 4.46. That was a decrease from 5.47%, which was a decrease of 1.1%. As we know, the interest rates are going down. There is a meeting on the 17th of this week to talk about interest rates. So we were getting really good interest rates, but they are going down. So that's the interest rates for our second quarter. And I'm going to say the interest rates for the third quarter because it is a comparison that I want to give overall. For the third quarter, for tax pool, we ended with 4.3%. That's a decrease from 2024, which was 5.31, a difference of 1.02. For Texas class, we were at 4.44, which in 2024 we were at 5.44, which is a difference of 1%. For logic, we were at 4.41. For 2024, we were at 5.41, another difference of 1%. So just in 2025 overall, we went from being at a total of, for the second to third quarter, 13.24% to 13.5%. So just within the year of 2025, we have decreased of 0.09%. So we're waiting to hear what they say. I know that the interest is good, is good for business owners and everything, people to look to buy stuff. But for us holding investments, it is going down. So we do monitor these things and look at everything. So yes, we have to wait till later this week to see what they say. Okay. For the second quarter overall, our revenues were up over our expenses. You do know that that's when we gain most of our revenues. For the second quarter, if you notice, debt is over 50%, but that is because our bond payments in February are comprised of our principal and interest payments, except for one of our bonds. So that's why you see it in that manner. E11 was one of our departments, one of our funds that had expenses that needed to be paid up front. You know, we pay insurances, everything, it evens out within the year. LRDC and LEDC were both on track, and golf was slightly up over the year. For our third quarter revenues, overall revenues and expenses were still up. Our overall expenses were actually under our third quarter projections, which they were at an overall 70%. Street maintenance, they had some road projects that came into play, so that's where you see them up. They're not over, but they didn't have activity within the second quarter because we are completing road projects that we are paying for, that we have allocated for ourselves. And then LRDC and LEDC, they are still on track, which we like to see them maintaining. And then golf is still slightly up over last year. So overall, we are still in line with everything we had. We're not over budget on anything, and we're just waiting to see where these interest rates go.
I'm telling you, you got a soft voice, and we got to really listen to you, and you say it plain, so we want to appreciate your hard work as well. Council, you have any questions?
I don't have any questions, but I do want to compliment staff that year in and year out, that even though there are funds that are budgeted, that staff is cognizant of that, and they work very hard to stay under budget. And that under budget is what it's allowed us to accrue our funds that we have to be able to do match and be able to do other capital projects. And that is all because staff, and that's even council and our that when we travel, we're very cognizant of it and try to be sure we make sure that those dollars are expended correctly and not spend them if possible, at all possible. So kudos to staff because of the fact that they work the way they do to try to work and do and expend that and do the best they can and not go over their budget. So I just comment on that, and the city manager, that how important this is.
All right, anyone else have any questions or comments?
Thank you for your report.
Thank you. All right, Council, that concludes our business for tonight, and I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those who oppose, say no. Those who abstain, shall abstain. All right, we're adjourned at 8:15. Still got enough time to go out to eat. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
No, you got to.